I'm going to say something that might just get my Bitcoiner card completely revoked by all of the Bitcoin purists. I'm glad BlackRock is here. I want the ETFs to buy more Bitcoin. I know. Institutions are the enemy and it's a trap. I get it. I totally understand all of the online discourse. But looking at the data, I've realized two things. Number one, boomers have all of the money. We spoke about this in one of my episodes last week, but most of the asset base belongs to the 70 plus cohort. They're sitting on the money. Number two, they are never, ever, ever, ever going to be able to manage a private key. If we want Bitcoin to actually become this global financial layer and not just be this niche hobby for tech nerds like you and I, we need this capital that belongs to the 70 plus cohort. We need these on ramps to be easy. But here is the danger. If they bring the money, who controls the network? The answer isn't stop the ETFs or stop the institutions. The answer is something that Jeff Booth emphasized last week in my episode with him. The network must stay decentralized. Welcome back to the Orange Pill Podcast. I'm your host, Nicki, and today I'm going to explain why institutional money is the exact fuel that we need for the Bitcoin fire, and why running a node might just be the brake pedal that we absolutely cannot lose. Let's get into it. Let's be real about the old money sector for just a second. Your parents, your grandparents, my grandparents, they have financial advisors. They like convenience. They trust the bank. So asking them to use a hardware wallet or asking my grandma to set up a Raspberry Pi is basically like asking her to compile code. It's pretty much worthless. Nothing's going to happen. It's just so impossible. Without the ETFs, the massive wall that the 70 plus cohort is sitting on never touches Bitcoin. And without that wealth, Bitcoin will remain volatile and small. At scale, of course. On this channel, we've spoken about how money needs to be a store of value and a medium of exchange. For Bitcoin to be a global settlement layer, it needs trillions in liquidity. Institutions provide that. They aren't colonizing Bitcoin, they're validating it. They're admitting that the fiat experiment that we've all been living in is completely failing and we need a life raft. So, I say let them board the Bitcoin boat, but we need to make sure that they don't steer it into an iceberg. People online really like to scream that Bitcoin is getting totally centralized. They look at charts which are showing whales holding huge amounts. But let's look at the actual data. You see this chart? It tracks addresses with more than 10,000 Bitcoin. When you see a whale address grow, it looks really scary. I totally understand. But ask yourself this. Who is that whale? In 2011, a whale might have been one dude in a basement. In 2025, a whale address is likely Coinbase or BlackRock. That single address represents millions of people, from teachers to firefighters to our grandparents, who own a slice of this Bitcoin. What we are seeing is actually known as distribution. The old whales, or the early adopters, are selling their Bitcoin. The new whales, aka the ETFs, are buying. Ownership is moving from few to many. It just looks like it's centralized because it's sitting in a custodian's wallet. But, and this is a really big but, so listen up here. Holding the coins gives these institutions price exposure. It does not give them network control. This is a key distinction that I learned while studying distributed systems. Control of the asset versus control of the rules. BlackRock can sit and own 1 million Bitcoin. That's what makes them rich. It does not make them king. Why? Because Bitcoin is run by nodes. Nodes enforce the rules. Nodes check the math. Nodes decide what is a valid transaction. As Jeff Booth says, the critical thing is that the network stays decentralized. If BlackRock tries to change the code, tries to print more than 21 million Bitcoin or even shrink the amount of Bitcoin, my Raspberry Pi will reject their block. I mean, it will literally say invalid. And if you run a node, yours definitely will too. Their money gives them weight in the market. Your node gives you a veto in the consensus. So here's my deal. We let the institutions bring in the money. We let them pump the price, which, by the way, helps anyone who is trying to get rich. Even though on my channel, I've spoken about how Bitcoin is not the place for people looking to get rich quick. In exchange, we must run the infrastructure. If they hold the coins, we must hold the rules. This is how we keep the network decentralized. Running a node is not just for geeks or tech nerds anymore. It is the civic duty of every Bitcoiner who wants to keep this system honest. So I'm still setting up my own Raspberry Pi in my dorm room. And not because I'm, scared of BlackRock or any other institutions, but because I want to keep the network honest, because I believe in the protocol of Bitcoin first. So don't hate the player, just own the referee. That is what I think we need to do when it comes to institutions in Bitcoin. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. That is it for today. Yeah, I kind of just was looking online and I was seeing all of this discourse about whether or not institutions should be so immersed in Bitcoin and whether or not ETFs are a good thing. And I thought I'd add my own 2 cents on that. Next episode is going to be a short little Bitcoin Mina vlog. I've been at the Bitcoin Mina conference and it's been so much fun, and I've been getting together some good content for you guys. So I'm going to have that ready to go on Friday. And a week after, Tuesday's episode is going to be diving into self-custody, self-sovereignty, and setting up your own Raspberry Pi, and of course, the wallets, the cold storage wallets, and all of the backups that I recommend and use. So until then, as always, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay orange pilled. I'm your host, Nicki, and I'm going to see you on Friday.